Wealth building principles. I wish I would have learned these principles when I was in school or college, or at least if I had a teacher, not necessarily in the school or college, but perhaps even from a, family or friends network, and they would have teach me some of these principles. I think I probably would have 10x my wealth by now. So I want to share some of these secrets with you. They have been developed over the ages, as I kind of saw other people building wealth and I saw what they were doing different than other people. And now I'm going to share those same ideas with you today. Now, I'm sure there are many other ways to build wealth. So I acknowledge that in advance. So if you want to share your ideas, you're welcome to do that. However, please do note that this webinar will be published online. So, don't be surprised that it's on YouTube or Facebook or something like that. So if you want, maybe wait till the end of the webinar and then ask the questions or give your suggestions. That way, I will probably only put the lecture part of it, not the Q&A part of the session online. All right. So thank you so much for joining me for today's webinar, and I I I hope you're going to get a lot of value out of this. And if you like it, if you like what I have to say, some of these ideas, then please do consider that how much you can gain to do a personalized consultation. So in the personalized consultation, it's usually about anywhere between 5 to 10 hours, depending upon if you are also a business owner or have some sort of side hustle. If you don't have a business owner, maybe it might be 4 to 6 hours. If you're a business owner, it might be 6 to 10 hours. So a little bit longer for business owner. But in those sessions, we kind of investigate everything. We take a look at your retirement, your insurance planning, your educational planning, your income, taxes, real estate, crypto, capital gains, all kind of things. And we try to find out ways how you can optimize. So that's something you can consider to do. But today, I'm going to share some simple principles that are evergreen. They work all the time. All right. So without any further ado, let's get started. So first thing you want to take a look at is your income. What can you do today to increase your income? Can you take a course? Can you study something? Can you perhaps find another job? Is your income. And I bring that up because many times when people talk about finance and wealth and retirement, they are always talking about either buying a product or they're talking about investing. But what they don't realize is first, you need to work on income. You need to deliver value. And if you're not able to deliver value, you're going to really have a hard time understanding all the other concepts of finance. Very simple. When you deliver value to somebody, you make money. That's the idea. So, how do you make more money? Reverse engineer it. Deliver more value. The more valuable you become, more you can charge someone. For example, in a company, maybe a janitor might get paid, you know, 15, $20 an hour, versus a CEO might be getting paid, $10,000 an hour. What's the difference? They both are working at the same company. The difference is the value each person add to that particular company. So become more valuable. Figure out the ways you can become valuable. You can become valuable obviously by improving your skills. You can become valuable by learning new concepts, new ideas, something that can help your employer make more money. You can also become more valuable by developing your personality. Yeah, by becoming better at management, being able to work with people. So look around and figure out all kind of skills that can make you more valuable. And if you can learn those skills, you are going to earn more. Realistically, we all should be earning more, right? So let's say if we say inflation is 3%, maybe you're working for a great company that is willing to give you 5% increase every year. But when I talk to people, they, especially in terms of investing, people always keep up the bring, oh, Deepak, I want to make 15% per year or 20% per year or even higher sometimes, 30, 40%. Each person have their different mindset around how much they should be making. But my question to you would be is, are you becoming 20% more valuable, 25% more valuable, 30% more valuable? People also talk about averages. For example, sometime I'll hear S&P 500 makes 10% per year on average. Okay, my question to you once again is, are you becoming 10% more valuable every year? Now, if you do that, if you become 10% more valuable every year, that means between 5 to 7 years, you should be able to double your salary. So if you're making 200,000, 7 years down the road, you should be making 400,000. If you're making 100,000, 7 years down the road, you should be making $200,000. So think about your time the same way you think about your investments. That's my tip number one. So people who think of it that way, they are very successful. For example, I don't think I heard this from Elon Musk, but somebody was talking about Elon Musk, and they made a reference. So I don't know if this is true or not, but it kind of caught my eye that somebody asked Elon Musk is, how do you set up your goals? And Musk said, well, I set up goals, what I want to achieve in next 3 years, in next 5 years, next 10 years. And once I set up the goals, I work on how I can achieve those goals in next 6 months, 1 year. I mean, that's another great way to look at achieving your goals and becoming more valuable. So that would be my tip number one, whether you have kids or it's for yourself, figure out how you can become more valuable. Okay, so now that you are becoming valuable and you have some good amount of income coming in, what should you do with that income? What should you do with all that money? I would say there are probably 5 or 6 things you can do with that money. For example, you can spend it. In matter of fact, most of us have to spend it. So that's a problem. Number two, we can save it. Number three, we can invest it. Number four, we can give it away like charity, donations to friends, family members, community. I think those four are primary things we should be doing with our money: spend it, save it, invest it, or give it away. However, there are two other things we often do with it, which I don't really like, but that is part of life. One is debt. You know, we take on debt, and we take on debt usually, not always, usually because we are overspending. So that's the another angle that I will still put it. Meaning, if you already overspent it, you already took a debt, then you need to think about paying that debt off. So that's why I say 5. So spend it, save it, invest it, give it, or reduce your debt. Those will be the 5 things you can really do with it. So what I have seen is people who are really good with their money, they would usually have 2 accounts. So I will ask you, before I go any further, how many bank accounts do you have? I'm not talking about checking or saving. We'll come to that just in a second. But just in checking, how many checking accounts? And when I say account, I mean you actively use those accounts. Most of us probably have only one. Successful people typically have 2. One for their fixed expenses and another account for their discretionary expenses. Fixed expenses are easy to calculate. You can go back right now, take a look at your bank statements, and I'm sure you can pick up the fixed expenses. Maybe they are 40% of your income, 30% of your income, maybe 50% of your income. Whatever that number is, doesn't matter. But that's how much money should be going to that one bank account, whatever your fixed expenses are. And the second account will have discretionary expenses. For example, your movies, your eating out or going to bar, travel, or all the things that you can get away. Like if you don't have to spend the money, then you can still get away with it. By the way, when we talk about like utilities, when we talk about your food, I consider them as fixed expenses, but only what you minimum need, whatever your minimum needs are. If you're going out a lot to restaurants and stuff to eat out, then that'll be discretionary. But all your groceries, stuff that you eat at your home, would be your fixed expenses. So now you have a good understanding of what's is my bare minimum, and now you know what your discretionary is. Meaning, if you choose to reduce your discretionary expenses, you can move it to some other bucket, like savings bucket or investment bucket, and so forth. So that's the one tip I have for you. is work with your fixed expenses in one account, discretionary expenses in the second account. I don't like to give out numbers. I have seen all kind of numbers out there, but I think nobody understands finances better than you for yourself. So you should come up with really your own numbers. And when we do one-on-one consultation, by the way, I spend quite a bit of time in how to optimize all of this stuff. There are unique ways to structure the expenses. That way, they're not costing you much. In matter of fact, in many cases, they might actually help you make more money. But that's like I said, those are like 5 6 hour long conversation, so not a topic for today. Second part is your cash reserve. How much do you have in your cash reserve today? That means if you need the money, you can access it, let's say within 3 days. You should have some that you can access right away. But if you can access in 3 4 days, or let's say even within a less than a week, I would still consider it a savings account. And and when I say savings, please don't confuse it with 401k, IRA, Roth accounts, real estate accounts, all those kind of things. Those are your investments, not savings. So first we get a hold of our spending habits, then we get hold of our saving habits. If you're not saving, then you should start consider saving. Maybe 10%, 20% of your income should be going to your savings account. Once again, not an investment account. Then number three is your investment. If you have saved a little bit, if you have a good income, you took care of your fixed expenses. Now, I mean, technically speaking, let's say if you have no money left, then you can still reduce your discretionary expenses and put it into investment bucket. So that will be your third bucket. The fourth bucket is to give it away. Now, once again, I've seen all kind of numbers there as well. Some 20%, 10%, 15%. I'll leave that up to you. Um, in India, for example, we have a culture that when you go to temple, your mom and dad, when you're a little kid, they will give you like a penny. And as that kid grows up, he starts to wonder and question his parents that, what difference is penny going to make in this world? Why are you giving me this penny to donate when you make so much money? And the answer to it is not really about that penny, it's about building a habit of giving. The fact that you're asking this question is because you have built up a habit of giving. So I'm not a big fan of putting a big number. Put something, $5, $10, 1%, 2%, 5%, whatever it is, you decided. But if the idea is to develop the habit of giving, the more we give to our society, the more we get back. That's the idea behind that. All right. So once again, let me repeat that for you. How do you spend? How much do you spend on your fixed cost? How much do you spend on discretionary? How much do you put in cash reserve? How much you put in your investment accounts? How much you give away? What kind of debt you have? What kind of overspending you are doing? These are some basic rules of finance. First, understand these. Once you do, then come up with some percentages. How much of that income you want to go to debt, how much of that you want to go to investment, so forth. I like to prioritize investment and saving. I'm sorry, debt reduction and savings before going into investments. And the reason behind that is because you put the money in investment, and let's say that investment doesn't do very well, then what you're going to do? You're going to start taking on more debt. So that's just a lose-lose situation. That's why I don't like that idea. I like to save, and I like to reduce debt. That's my priority first. And the reason why I'm telling you to come up with these percentages, and each person will have a unique answer to that question, is so that way you can rebalance. People rebalance their portfolio. I don't know if they do actually. People say they do, but very rarely they do. But at least you can rebalance these accounts. And when you rebalance, things start to become more optimized on a regular basis. People who have come up with these ideas, sometimes they set this up and then they live with it for next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years without anything being ever optimized. So that will be my another tip here. Now, like I said, you have spending, saving, investing, giving, debt reduction. 5 major categories. You want to optimize each one of them. So, for example, if I can optimize my spending and I can save, let's say, another 2%. Like 2% is not really a whole lot, right? On $100,000, that's $2,000. I can save $2,000 maybe from coffee, maybe from going out once a week, or other expenses. It's not a whole lot. For some of you guys, that's like nothing. Similarly, maybe I can optimize my savings. For example, maybe my savings account is sitting in a Chase Bank or some other bank, which is giving me maybe 2%, 3%, 4%. Now, if I can make 5%, 6%, that's optimizing my savings account. So I can maybe make another couple percent there. Similarly, with my investments, I might make, and I'm not talking about picking stocks or deciding whether you want to buy real estate or here or there or crypto or whatnot. You can do anything you like to do. That's not a problem. I'm just talking about optimizing, meaning how you do that business has ramifications, the tax ramifications, growth ramifications, risk, and all that kind of good stuff. So the idea is, can we actually optimize the investment bucket that can give me the maximum ROI? Similarly, for my giving, for example, you might have heard some people set up a non-profit, some people set up trust, some people use donor advised funds, some people, even donate for no other reason except for tax reductions. So I don't know that's you or not, but the idea is whatever you're doing, if you can optimize it for taxes, that can save you quite a bit of money as well. So you can see between these five categories, if I make some improvement, I can probably get maybe 4%, 5%, maybe even more, maybe 7 or 10% return just out of this. So if I have $100,000, let's say if I'm making 15% in S&P 500, $15,000 by doing the things I just talked about, maybe I can make another $5 or $10,000. All of a sudden, now my money looks pretty good. I'm making a lot more money. So that's where I will focus on, and by the way, that's what we do in those consultation calls. So when you come in for whether it's a 1 hour, obviously in 1 hour we can go through multiple kind of scenarios, but usually when people have a specific problem, that's what we're doing. That how do we optimize that particular transaction? Another thing I see is that people sometimes wait way too long to set these things up. Meaning they're thinking, well, I'll do this when I make 100,000. I'll do this when I make 500,000 or when I make $1 million. The principles are relevant for somebody who's making 10,000 or $1 million. Principles don't change. The math works the way it works. Very simple. So there's no reason for you to wait. Start with these principles as early as possible. It will really help you over the long run. Next thing is debt. If we don't understand how debt works, then we cannot understand how leverage works. And debt and leverage can really get us in trouble. For example, let's say you borrowed $100,000 from somebody at interest rate of 10%. Simple math, you have to pay them $10,000 a year. Well, next year, now you have to pay them 100,000 original plus 10,000. So now you need to pay interest on that $110,000. So this effect of compounding in debt can have major problems. Sometimes people take on debt without even knowing. For example, you might go buy a car and the car might say, hey, 0% interest for 5 years. So you're thinking that you're getting 0%, like there's no extra cost, but that's actually not true. So you really need to be able to do the math and figure out if it's in your favor or not. So that's what those 1 hour appointments are for. Whenever you have a question about a transaction, anything that it's like a big purchase, I recommend people get a second opinion just to kind of see if is there another way to buy that car? Is this the only way to get that transaction done? Anyhow, the main point I'm trying to make here is if you take on a debt, please make sure it's a good debt. And most importantly, don't let the interest payments of that debt compound. If you let them compound, that can really hurt you a lot. So in this business, in the business of finance, whenever somebody wants to give you money, understand that the gentleman who is giving you money is usually the one who is winning. So don't fall for that trap. Run some numbers, figure out if it makes sense or not, and only then continue with the transaction. And another extremely important part is to understand that taxman is in your partner. He's your partner when you make money. I think most people understand that because of income taxes. They go like, "Oh yeah, we know that because we pay income tax." So kind of they are kind of like a partner to us. However, taxman works a little bit differently. They're not only partner with you only when you make money, they are your partner when you spend money. They are your partner when you save money. They are your partner when you invest money. So whether you're earning, spending, saving, investing, in matter of fact, in many times even giving, for example, estate taxes and other taxes can come back to bite you. So even in giving, so even in you know all five categories: earning, spending, saving, investing, and giving, tax manage your partner. So you really need to start treating them like a partner, meaning, let's assume this is a sleeping partner. And this sleeping partner will say, look, as long as you run a good business, I don't mind if I get paid a little bit less. That's the kind of partner taxman is. So run a good business, connect with good people who can help you figure out how to run an efficient business. And if you run an efficient business, taxman is happy with you because they want you to be in business for a long time, and you can save quite a bit on your taxes. And obviously, where do you think that money going to go? That money going to go back into your savings and investments, and you continue to grow. So those are some of the basic principles of wealth building, in my opinion. Like I said, I don't want to talk about whether you should buy real estate or whether you should buy crypto or stuff like that. Uh, that's a whole different story. But I think step one is to master these principles. Unless you master these principles, the other ones will not fall in place. Like even if you do it, I'll give you an example. Let's go back to investing for example. Investing is of two part. It's small term investing and long term investing. You need to really master the concept of long term investing, why it is important, how does it work, what should you buy that you can stay in the market for a long time. You really need to figure that out. And if you're in it for short term, then you need to figure out how to structure that transactions another way so that way you can take advantage of short term opportunities. Similarly with real estate, similarly with crypto, and pretty much anything that you might buy or sell in this country. You need to become tax efficient. So those were some of the most important points. I'll pause here and then I'll take your questions. And please, for today, keep your questions related to these kind of matters. If you have specific other tax questions, we will discuss those in the other tax webinar where we can dig deeper into tax questions. Okay. I hope you found it helpful. If you want to join us next time on the live meeting or you want to watch our videos or whatnot, please go to Tax Code Advisors and you can just become part of our list. So that way we can notify you whenever we have the next event, or just come to our next event. Yeah, usually, for example, I try to do one event a month at a coffee shop that's open. I'm available to anyone. There's no charge for you. You just come meet with me, say hello, hi, and you can join me that way. Or just follow our Facebook page, Instagram page. I post all the updates there as well. All right. So once again, thank you so much, guys. Hang on there. I'm gonna take all of your questions. I know they are all showing up here. So just give me a couple of minutes here to take a little break, grab some water. I hope you guys got some water as well. And then we will answer your questions. All right.